Hello my friends, Simon Miller here on another one of my excursions. Shouldn't say that sounds absolutely ridiculous, although I am in New York City. So if you do live in the New York City area and you'd like to come to the big event, which is my first ever convention signing, which is terrifying because I don't want no one to come to my table, please do. I'll be there all day. On Saturday, the day you're watching this. But the ups and downs never stops, you know the deal there. As it turns out, the Bloodline has evolved again because they went and learned about interference. Because before all this, we got a big old crown jewel video letting you know about everything that did go down with Sami Zayn and co. And Roman Reigns came out with Jimmy Uso. Feel sorry for Jimmy. Why is he not allowed his own entrance? And before Roman could do much of anything though, this is when the interruption did start, because Jey Uso's music hit, because who cares about the brand split, and he walked out and he was like, listen Us, you gotta listen to me, and we have to clear up this confusion that went down over the weekend. This is when Sami Zayn came out, because obviously these guys had decided we need to talk about our problems in front of thousands of fans and millions of people on television. But why don't we just do it over FaceTime or at home during the week? No, we can't do it. Now I really do enjoy Sami as always because he's making it very clear. One, I was only at that pay-per-view premium live event for Jey Uso. And also two, Roman, no, I didn't kick you purposely in the face. It was an accident. He also mentioned how long it has been since they have been a foursome and all these little things they're doing are just making them feel warm and fuzzy in their tum-tums again because it has been so long. That's a bit like, Sam, did you erase that thing that happened at the Royal Rumble? In fact, if you did, I understand. Zayn then said the opposite to love isn't hate, but it's indifferent, and Roman isn't indifferent to Sami Zayn, so that was like a riddle, but his big point was, I know deep down in your titsy toes, you love me, and this is when it did turn into like a 2022 Bloodline segment. They were all joking, and Roman was trying not to laugh, and Sami Zayn was like, you're laughing again. They really are very good, and they just make me happy. Sami then did move the goalpost though, because he was all like, listen, I'm happy to get back together. Unless you don't want to get back together, then I will leave. However, if you do want to get back together, you have to throw an apology out there. And Roman's face, it's like he'd seen a ghost. His big point was, why would I ever apologize to you, Sami Zayn? Sam was like, no, you don't have to say sorry to me. You have to say sorry to Jey. If I was Jey, I would have facepalmed and be like, bro, you've got to stop this. Now, personally, I think that Zayn most definitely would deserve a sorry. This is when Roman became an 8-year-old child. He was like, fine, I do apologize for all of this nonsense. What are you doing, Jey? We shouldn't care about this, because he's now obsessed with one person, Solo Sikoa. Sami then did leave, because why hang around when you are being emotionally manipulated? Which is when Jacob Fatu just magically appeared on the big screen. He was all like, man, you ain't no tribal chief. Solo Sikoa is a tribal chief, so you may want Solo Sikoa to come out right there now, but he'll come out in his own good time. And he never stopped doing this with his hands. So this family is just a mess, especially because then backstage, after they had all left the ring, Jey Uso was trying to talk to Roman, and Roman yelled at him, so Jey was like, if you keep doing that, I will leave. And when Jimmy tried to speak to Roman, Roman yelled at him, so Jimmy left. So he is a tribe without a tribe again. I got that wrong. He's a chief without a tribe again. And Roman Reigns is going to have to learn how to be a good person. So it's probably going to divide and conquer in equal measure, because it did go so long. But I just love them together. And I love the fact now that we have got to 2024 and we're nostalgic about 2022, because in many ways there is 2 + 2 = potato, and it doesn't make any sense. But listen, by the end of the night, they are on the same page. If I watch wrestling to be entertained, let's get it up. We also then learned that the Elimination Chamber in 2025 is going to be in Toronto. So what was all those rumors about saying it was going to come to the UK when we had Candice LeRae versus Bayley? Makes sense, a few weeks ago, Candice did pin Bayley. This was actually sort of sad, because when Candice did come to the ring, obviously she wasn't with Indy Hartwell, but she still did the high five thing. And I was like, man, maybe sometimes we should just sign wrestlers to lifetime contracts. I know that's not realistic, but again, it made me upset. I suppose Candice used that to her advantage though, because she gave Bayley a neck breaker to begin with. Then she was just choking her. It's like she had all this rage, and she was going to squeeze it out of Bayley's throat. What? She also got a missile drop kick, and I was like, well, finally we are doing something with Candice LeRae, because she has been very come and go in 2024. Do you remember when she went scorched earth on Maxine Dupree and insulted her dead brother? That was really weird. Bayley was then able to take off Candice's head with a lariat when she hit this cool side slam thing for a 1-2 when she was going to go for the elbow drop, but LeRae just rolled to the other side of the ring. This has to be the most popular spot of 2024. It's like wrestlers have evolved. They've become Pokemon. LeRae then ran around the ring because she didn't want to get beaten up anymore. When she did get back in the squared circle, she instantly went, ow. I've hurt my foot. And then, of course, it was a ruse, and she went for the most devastating move in all her sports, an attempted surprise roll-up, but because Bayley is a smart babyface, she just went, no, and she hit the surprise roll-up, kind of surprise pin, 1, 2, 3. So I'm not really sure what the long-term plan is, because we've kind of fallen into 50-50 booking here, because Candice won 1 and Bayley won 1. It does feel slightly directionless, again, what is round the corner, but let's just go back to fun. This was fun. When something is fun, I'm giving it up. I still think we should be doing more with Bayley at the top of the card because we're so inconsistent when she does become a champion. When Johnny Gargano was being really nice to the Motor City Machine Guns and kind of talking to them like he hadn't said hello. If that is true, he's not a nice person at all. They've been there weeks. He also told them to make sure they punch Grayson Waller in the face later, which is a borderline crime counter now I think about it. When Tommaso Ciampa walked in, my gosh, he wasn't happy about this at all. He basically thinks Machine Guns have not only taken their titles, but they've taken their spots, so now it's time to get them back. Listen, more happens later, but it certainly does feel like Ciampa may be about to turn heel. Watch this space. In the background of all this too, you saw Randy Orton walk into the ring, which was actually going to turn out to be a damn good old school wrestling angle. Because he was still losing his mind after Crown Jewel and told Kevin Owens, get out here right now so we could sort this shit. And he even said the S-bomb. And because somebody had said Kevin Owens' name, as per wrestling rule 14.8, he came to the ring. And why did the officials not stop this? Because surprise, surprise, they just carried on brawling. Eventually, the useless security guards were out there. But in this fracas, I kid you not, Kevin Owens hit Randy Orton with a pile driver. And because the pile driver is a banned move within WWE, everybody melted down. Michael Cole and Corey Graves basically had a baby. They couldn't believe this, and Orton sold it like he was dead. A bunch of EMTs that even came to check on Randy, and they were handling him delicately because he was so injured. And Cody Rhodes was there too. He had that look of concern on his face, like maybe this wasn't meant to happen. Orton even got stretchered out here and put into a local medical facility wagon, and Cody went with him to the hospital. So we've achieved 2 things here. Firstly, this Kevin Owens Randy Orton feud is off the chain, and as for Kevin, Triple H was 100% right. Now he comes across like an unhinged insane person. This is one of the huge reasons I'm so happy we're past Crown Jewel, because this is the kind of stuff I want Cody Rhodes to be getting into. This could be really, really good, and my word, have we planted the seeds. I think this was my favourite thing on the show. It's getting it out. When DIY defeated Pretty Deadly in 1 minute 30 seconds, we gotta talk about it. Because while the Motor City Machine Guns winning the tag team titles a few weeks ago was awesome, and I do have some good things to say about DIY, I just think in 2024, the men's tag team division hasn't really lived up to expectations, which is why we should be taking teams like Pretty Deadly and at least making them come across like a force. I don't mean like a, oh my gosh, they're gonna whip our ass. I mean, they're a couple of dickheads and they can win matches however you choose. Even if they go, oh my gosh, we're gonna use this llama we found, most people would go, well, I kind of expected that from them. So I think it's a case of all hands on deck, and even though, again, there was a good story point to this, I'm talking about it culminatively, which may not be how you pronounce that word, but I'm an idiot. It's getting it down. But otherwise, I don't think you could even call this a tag team match, because Mr. Johnny Gargano never tagged in, because Tommaso was so wound up. He beat up Elton Prince, he beat up Kit Wilson, he threw him into Barry Barricade, he threw him into Timmy the Timekeeper's Cable, and Simba the Steel Steps. When he put them back in the ring, he hit the fairy tale ending, and he beat him. The whole time Gargano's a bit like, I thought you were my mate, you got some issues. So it's actually making me believe that we may do the NXT feud, Tommaso Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano, on SmackDown, and if you give them time, that may be super duper good. So yeah, seriously, I still think you could have put another team in here. It didn't have to be Pretty Deadly, but we have said multiple statements, and they're all true. It's complicated. Ring Avril Lavigne, up. Tiffany Stratton was then laughing at Candice LeRae for losing, so who knows if she's a good or bad guy anymore, when Nia Jax walked in and was like, what are you doing, Tiffy time? Why the hell did you put us in a tag team match? As Stratton explained though, well, we're going to be taking on Jade, Cargill and Bianca Bair, and that means if we do win, we could go after the tag team titles. I mean, she's right. Jax did seem interested, but also said this plan better work. Here's a spoiler, it did not work. Before we went right into that, and look, it was more than fine, I don't say that in a bad way, but it was just 10 minutes of action filled with about 45 seconds of shenanigans. I mean, Jax and Stratton can't get on to save their lives, which probably means a big old cash-in is coming, and we started off here with Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill, and Tiffany just went and slapped her around the face. So Cargill was like, don't do that to me. I've got muscles. And she held her around. Eventually, Jax tagged in and she was Samoa dropping everybody as Tiffany Stratton used that to sneak attack Bianca Belair. And then for a little while, these two were actually doing all right. Nia then did pose, which triggered the commercial break, which made me laugh. And of course, Jade Cargill was desperate for the hot tag. But again, Nia and Tiffy were actually running quite good double team offense till they totally screwed up. Because Cargill eventually remembered that she is really strong, so she took everybody out when she saw Bianca Belair's hand was really hot. She got the hot tag. As ever, Bianca just remembered she's one of the best people on the roster and went wild on Tiffany Stratton. And in fact, the only reason she did stop is because Tiffany pulled her hair. So she's doing it again, pick a lane. She still got spine busted when Tiffany was actually able to stop the moonsault by getting her knees up. When her and Nia Jax did a blockbuster Samoan drop combo, colour me impressed. Jade then stopped that pin, and because Cargill is big and Nia were big, they did that thing where you look at each other and go, oh, I see, we're both monsters here. But did that actually help them win the match? No, it did not. Nia was then distracting the referee as Bianca Bair climbed to the top rope when Candice LeRae was back for some reason. So something's going on with that relationship, and she pushed Bianca off the top rope when finally Naomi walked out and she punched LeRae like, what are you doing? Tiffany had been totally squashed at some point during this too. So Bianca Bair just walked up, put her on her shoulders, gave the KOD, and she got the 1, 2, 3. So Tiffany is definitely going to be cashing soon because WWE loves doing this. They're like, you could lose, because you're about to get a huge win. When you actually smell the air, whatever that means, it does kind of feel like it's time. I also think in 2025, we have to make sure we put Bianca Bair back in the singles scene because she is just so good. But again, if you wrap this up in a nice little package, it's totally fine. When we learned what Nick Aldis had been up to at the start of the day, because he had just gone, you know what, I don't want to watch the Grace and Waller effect, and instead he'd taken Grace from Austin Theory and given them a tag team title shot against the Machine Gun. Now that has to be one of the dumbest reasons to get a title shot ever. It's that we're going to give it to you because we're not allowing you to run your talk show. I mean, what does that even mean? With that said, it was the third tag team match on this episode of SmackDown. I'm not going to get mad at that, given what we had talked about. And it started with Alex Shelley and Austin Theory. Once again, I was giggling like a little kid. I just find the machine guns in WWE still to be pretty damn novel and fun. Eventually, Chris Sabin tagged in there as well, and you know the deal. They're just such a good tag team. And they're so dedicated to being a tag team, so it's like all we're ever going to do is tag team moves, and I'm there for you, and you're there for me, and it's brilliant. Grayson soon got in there as well, but the machine guns just took out his arm, and even when Austin was trying to do stuff, they were like, no, you're not allowed. Because they've got synergy, man. As much as I hate that word. Shelley then hit a splash to the outside, but actually started selling like he had hurt his knee. I was like, well, can I trust you? I wasn't able to trust Candice. But actually, I do think that's true, because Grayson and Austin jumped on that, and they tried to remove his limb. I mean, they did such a good job they even survived the most powerful force in all of sports entertainment, the commercial break, because when we came back from the adverts, they were still whooping ass. Until they weren't, because Alex Shelley just went, oh yeah, I can dodge. Hot tag to Chris Sabin. And he was able to hit a missile drop kick, which a lot of people were doing on this evening when he did the dive by jumping through Alex Shelley's legs. Never forget, that doesn't actually make that dive more impactful. It just makes you think they're more cool. They then went back to their whole, we must work together at all times, so I was happy. And even when Grayson Waller was able to get his rolling flatliner, they still were able to kick out 1, 2, ooh. Waller then got the proper tag because Theory wasn't getting it done, but the first thing he did was go for an elbow and totally missed. When Shelley and Sabin essentially hit the Skull and Bones, they got the victory and they retained their titles. Now look, I actually think we could have built this up more and we didn't have to go so quick, especially because we haven't given Grayson and Austin that much recently, but in terms of a match, I'm giving it an up. These Motor City Machine Guns are really good. Michael Cole then gave us a Randy Orton update and basically said he's dead in hospital with lots of injuries when the Machine Guns ran into DIY again. Forget it. This time the Street Profits also turned up and basically went, oh, hey guys, we are taking you on next week in a tag team title match, or maybe I got that wrong. At the same time, they are allowed a free pass, because it's just another match I want to see. Angela Dawkins ended this as well by saying, you're about to feel real pressure, which is a very odd line. When I kid you not, this happened. We just cut to Nick Aldis and he went, do you know who deserves more opportunities? The women's division. So here is the women's US title. I was like, where did that come from? I mean, it's totally long overdue and we should have done this years ago, and I think it will be super duper good, especially if we give it to Chelsea Green. You should most definitely give it to Chelsea Green. And you have to imagine come Raw, we'll probably introduce an IC one as well. So listen, in terms of announcement, I am going to give it an up, but it's like there being a knock on my door, and I answer it, and Batman's there. Like, Batman, why aren't you taking on the Joker? And he says, I don't know. I don't know what we're talking about. Turns out that the reveal of a secondary women's title is what Jacob Fatu was talking about earlier, because at this juncture, Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline 2.0 decided, Now we will go to the ring. He wanted to be acknowledged, but of course that didn't work and he got booed instead. And Roman had most definitely learned from earlier because he interrupted straight away and he got in Solo Sikoa's face. Solo actually told him to calm down because it was good to see him. When Roman was like, listen, guys and girls in the audience, are you going to acknowledge him as your tribal chief? And of course everybody went no, and Reigns went, neither am I. So you're such an ass kisser. He then made it clear that he's never going to do that, so we may as well settle this in a one-on-one match, and whoever wins that will be the tribal chief. So I need like some kind of rules written down on a piece of paper. I thought the tribal chief was the person that had the Ula Fala. Solo is just the best though, because he reacted like this too. He went, that doesn't make you the tribal chief. You don't even have a tribe, man. So I bet you couldn't even find 4 guys in the locker room if you wanted to go to war. Games. He didn't say games. Roman did though, because he was basically like, oh, hello, my good fellow. Are you referring to the games of war? When they talked about the fact, well, you ain't got it either, new bloodline, because you need 5 members and you're 1 short. When Sikoa got the mic and said, actually, no, we do have an extra guy and his name is Sami Zayn. But the crowd was genuinely offended by this and Sam was just waiting behind the curtain, so he came and stood in the entranceway as the Bloodline 2.0 beat the absolute hell out of Roman Reigns to the point Jimmy and Jay had to run in there, but of course they were a man down, so they got beaten up too. By the time Zayn got in the ring as well, Solo had Roman and he was shouting, actually quite justifiably at Zayn, do you remember what this man did to you? Get your revenge. But as we learned in the opening segment, Sami is obsessed with love, so he went to do the haluva kick, but he hit Solo Sikoa instead, and that was on purpose. All the rest of the OG Bloodline was then back, and they absolutely destroyed Solo Sikoa when Jimmy Uso put up the 1, Jey Uso put up the 1, and Roman looked at Sami, and Sami looked at Roman, and they put up the 1s too. So yeah, the original Bloodline is back together. Now Sami Zayn still better get an apology, because I think that is important to make sure this does all make sense. But once again, it's somehow a nostalgia trip from 2022, and they just have chemistry. I don't know why. Maybe they should go and teach science. It's getting it up. It's pretty damn good. It also means War Games is basically confirmed. That is going to be excellent because you have so much story, you have so much blood, literally and figuratively, and The Rock's probably going to be there too. So in terms of a SmackDown reminding you that Survivor Series is around the corner, it's getting it up. Now please do leave a comment below and let me know what you thought about last night's episode of SmackDown. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen for my ups and downs of AEW versus NXT. You asked for it, so don't get mad at me. Those are my friends. I'll see you next week. Take care.